All right, the Bucks. It is Talking Buccaneers with me, Fumane, and it's actually Talking Buccaneers before Orlando Pirates versus Supersport United. And you know what I want to start with this preview specifically is I want to start with something that I hope happened immediately after Orlando Pirates lost to Buccaneers. What I hope happened 5 minutes, 10 minutes after that game, when the players head into that dressing room after, deflated sort of mood, after dampened expectations and disappointments as they go into that, that changing room. I'm not so sure the strength of Jose Rivera as a motivator. Judging by recent results, judging by how we've done in finals, I am tempted to believe as someone who's very good at motivating, or at least there's someone doing that bit for him in his technical team. But I hope whoever is responsible for it, whether it's the captains, but most importantly from the leaders, which are the coaches, I hope the first thing they said to those players when they got into that dressing room 5 minutes, 10 minutes after the game was to re-emphasize how good Orlando Pirates is. I really hope that when the players got into that changing room, the first thing they got reminded is that this is a bad result, but you are a very good team, because I think those 5 minutes are going to go a long way if they spoke in that way. I think the need for reminding of these players to not, suddenly be deflated by one result is so important. And I think it's almost like possibly detrimental if that wasn't the emphasis. I would hate to hear that if they went into the changing room, it was sort of just like lashing at people and that sort of thing, because I really think what happened was a freakish result, losing to a Buccaneers. It's one of those things that can happen in a season. But the reason why I say this is because, going back to last season, I think something that I hated to see was how after Orlando Pirates lost one game, after having, momentum, it seemed like we just went down on a downward trajectory, because it felt like we lost the belief in how we had started. We'd started very well and we're winning games and that sort of thing. But then we lost one, and that seemed like it knocked the belief out of the club, out of the players, even out of the fans, shamefully. But hence, I'm saying that the first thing that I really hope for happened immediately after the game was, I think it's going to hang on that. It's going to hang on whether the players got reminded that you guys, remember who you are. You lost to Buccaneers, but don't forget who you are. You are Orlando Pirates, and I think that's going to go a very long way. And starting with this game against Supersport United, well, the other thing I hope they do remind them is that we've played against Supersport United, and we've beat them 3-1 already. Not only did we beat them, I think we absolutely mesmerized them. I think they stood no chance. I really think it was a home game for us, and it's another home game. The plans, the tactics in a cup match where you think, it's going to be tight, I think they failed there. I really think that in the league, where things are more of a marathon, more than a sprint, where people are less cautious, it's going to be more open than a cup game, I would expect. And I really think that even after, their recent result against Kaizer Chiefs, I think it's the right time to play them. It's the right context to play them in the league. It's something that I think we could be looking forward to and saying, let's bounce back from a bad result. And it's well placed. The other thing which I'm really excited for is that when you lose a game, you want to play 3 days after. You don't want to wait a week and sort of just, it's when the fire is still there within you to go out and prove that you are a good team, and then a game just comes 3 days after. And I think that's perfect context, I beg your pardon, perfect timing. And I think it's the right time to play Supersport United. There's obviously the ever-growing concern with us with, certain key players that are missing. Talent Mbata is obviously missing. We are missing Oli Sanda at the back, who's crucial for us. I don't know if I'm missing anyone, but I think those are the 2 major misses, basing it on the starting 11 this season. Those are the 2 misses. I've seen some stuff. People, I think, are overemphasizing how important they are. I think they're really important, but I do think some people are just like, Pirate season is over because Talent Mbata is not there. I think Talent Mbata is amazing. I think he's irreplaceable in our midfield. However, I do think that people like Talent Mbata, you don't replace them by personnel, rather you replace them by tactics. So there's a change of the way that you approach things, because you just can't replace the player. And in switching up your approach, you can still find ways that you can get an advantage and still be a very, very good team, even without Talent Mbata. I think it's the same thing at the back. Thinking about who plays for us at centre back. Obviously, quite a daft performance from the team defensively last time, and I know a lot of people are saying it's because of Sbisi and Sasani, they don't work together, that kind of thing. I think there is an argument to say that they don't complement each other very much, and maybe that is a good argument to make, but I don't think it's the reason why we shipped in 3 goals. I think the reason we shipped in 3 goals was a combination of factors, which was that I think overall the team was not in a defensive mood in the last game, and I also think that's very important going into this game. But I'm not concerned that it's going to be the case. Part of that is because we're playing a night game against Supersport United. We usually turn up for those midweek. It's not going to be packed. It's not going to be full house. But I do know that the Buccaneers are going to come out. They're going to come out in their numbers, even for this game. And part in the success of Orlando Pirates this season has been because the fans have just rocked up and they've just created an atmosphere for these players. And that has transferred onto them. They know that we believe in them. And I think it's going to be important, even after a result like the last one, to re-emphasize, as well as the fans, to re-emphasize alongside, their coaches, the belief in this team. To say, you guys, results happen once off. Don't forget who you are. And that's why I think it's just going to be maybe a little bit too much for Supersport United. Obviously, again, we're going to miss crucial players. That's true. But I think it's not a kind of hopeless situation. I mean, if you can still play midfield of Makihlin Makala and Kabelo Dlamini, that's a midfield that is very good. I feel like that's a midfield that's better than almost all the teams in the league, almost all of them. And if you're playing with them and Tito Masongani, if you've got Saleng, and you've still got Lebkhile Mfukeng and Safatso Mawasa up front, if you're playing with Sbisi, who was, I think, defender of the season once upon a time, and you're playing him alongside, someone who might be also motivated to prove a point in Sasani with his recent display, I say that loosely, just motivated to come out and prove his worth again after a sort of good start to the season. And you've got Dino van Rooyen, who arguably is also one of the best right backs. You've got Dion Hotto, who's one of the most informed left backs in the league. And you've got Sipho Shane still. I do think that you've still got a very good team. And then you've got people like Rasibuja on the bench. You've got people like Mohankota on the bench. I think you've got a very good team, and I think you've got more than enough to go and, beat Supersport United. Obviously, we know what to expect from them. That's not news. They're gonna be very tactical in their approach. They're gonna try stop us. They're gonna try stop us in the way of not giving us space behind them. That's one. They're not gonna give us that space. The other thing they're gonna try and do as well is that they're going to make the game a bit of a dogfight. So they love duels. They want to win their duels. They want to stick it up in the air and then compete for it. And so they're going to work their socks off. That's one thing for sure. They're going to scrape for everything. The head coach is not one, Gavin, who allows his players to be off in terms of motivation, in terms of work ethic and work rate and all of those things. So in that department, I think we're going to have a match on our hands. But I do think that even though they want to bring it to that level, our quality is still good enough. And something we obviously have to try and do is not to play the game at their level, is to play the game at our level. We need to be able to keep the ball on the floor, pass it around, move them around, get these players tiring. People like Fumane in the midfield and Supersport United, let's keep them moving, let's keep them chasing. They're going to tire. And don't play it at their level. I remember in the last game that we played against them, someone who was quite a threat for us was I think he had a bit of a duel with Thabiso Munyane, if I'm not mistaken. Sort of them sticking it to the back post like we saw in our last game. That's one of our weaknesses. They're going to stick the ball to the back post and that sort of thing. I think we're going to prepare for that sort of thing, but also the absence of Predlich Robla is going to work in our advantage. They're not going to be as good as they are with him. And so I really feel like we can play the game at our level. But most importantly, I think that we have to play it with belief. And on our part, the fans, we have to support with belief. I think on the part of the head coaches, they have to inject their belief. And I think it's going to hang on that. It's going to hang on us trying to prove the point to ourselves that, we are who we are. We are a very good team. We're the mighty Buccaneers. And if we do that, I think it's going to be an easy win for us against Supersport United. Anyway, let me leave it here. I'm out in Johannesburg somewhere. Let's leave it here. Up the mighty Bucks. Cheers. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video from Talking Buccaneers. If you did, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all our future content.